Welcome back. Another episode of the Fantasy Bomb. Representing Rotoballer Strong. I am Pierre Camus, and I'm with Chris Mangano, my co-host. And we're going to have some interesting topics today. We're going to mix it up a little bit. First of all, Chris, tell me what is going on with you.
Not much. Same old, same old. How about you?
Yeah, just another day. It's a nice day, I'll tell you that. It's finally beginning to look a lot like summer here. Starting to feel like summer, which is a good thing. I know a lot of people complain about the heat. I'm in Texas, South Texas, so it's in the 90s right now, and it's going to be about 100 degrees in a couple of weeks, and I love it.
We're
So
we're having the opposite here. I'm in Southern California, Orange County. Um, so usually we have really nice weather year round, but it's been kind of cold and cloudy and overcast and gloomy lately. So kind of odd for us this time of year.
hmm,
You
that's
guys must
weird.
be getting our heat.
I guess so, yeah. But this point on, pretty much for the next like 4 months here, like it won't rain for more than like 5 seconds at a time, and it's just hot. But I love it. As you can, you might have known anybody who's ever listened to anything I've ever said probably knows I'm from Miami because I'm somewhat proud of that because I love Miami, even though I don't live there right now. But I do love it. I miss the weather most of all. My family too. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I do miss the weather and it's not quite the same here, but I do like the hot. I like when it's hot, and even when it's humid. Not that it gets humid here. There's nothing better. So I'm good. With the sun is out and it's warm, and I got no complaints.
Now you just need a tan. You'll be set.
All right, so you had to bring that up. Now that we can see each other, I'm gonna blame it on the light because I have a little bit of lighting in the background here. My wife did say something along that line, like, "Wow, you look really white." I was like, "Thank you." Um, I'm technically half Caucasian, half Hispanic slash Latino, however you can call it, Cuban. But yeah, I look pretty white. I'll admit I'm pretty white. So I need the sun. I need to get out in the sun. All right. So the other thing that's going on, the football, of course, that's our topic these days. Not a lot going on. I'm kind of scouring the news because we like to keep current. We talked best ball last week. We've talked, of course, the NFL draft, rookies, talked dynasty. And so there's really not a lot going on. We're gonna pick up some topics that are kind of a little under the radar, if you will. But actually, I want to get your opinion on something else first, Chris, because the main thing going on in sports these days, and we're not going to talk baseball because I know to you that it just doesn't exist. But we haven't talked NBA like at all, which I just realized the other day. I really haven't followed the NBA much this year, because I've been following so much baseball and football. But I don't know. What do you think is going on as far as the NBA finals are coming up soon? To me, I don't know. It's getting a little boring because it seems pretty obvious the Warriors are just going to win it again. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, I haven't really. By the way, there's another big sporting event going on right now. It's the NHL playoffs, which
I forgot about
are
hockey. Yeah, that does sound good.
extremely exciting. We got a game 7 coming up, which should be very good. But yes, I do like the NBA as well a lot. But yeah, I'm with you. I haven't watched much this year, mainly because I mean I'm a Lakers fan. Being, growing up in SoCal, I grew up in the 80s, Magic, Showtime, Kareem, all those guys. Um, so finally, like this year, there's some hope. We have Julius Randle, we have Lonzo Ball. Kuzma looks like he could be a player. So there's like some like, oh, maybe this team's has is going somewhere finally. So I did follow it a little closer than I had in previous years. But I'm with you. It's these NBA playoffs have been so boring. There's been no excitement. I mean, the NBA, there's really rarely upsets in the NBA. I mean, maybe you can get like some upsets in the first round where like a 6 beats a 3 or something like that. But once you get to this stage where you're in the conference finals, you pretty much know who's going to win. And I was really excited about the Western Conference Finals. I've actually watched almost every minute of every game of it because I was like, this is the finals. This is it. This is the NBA. We're watching the NBA finals. Like whoever, like Cleveland, Boston, you got no chance against the Rockets or the Warriors. Like no chance. I mean, if you watch the game tonight between the Rockets and the Warriors, and then you watch the game between the Cavs and the Celtics, it's like they're playing at a totally different speed. It's like they're in a different league. So, but watching these first 3 games, I don't think Houston has a chance. I don't.
No,
It's
you could tell from the beginning, game one, they just, they got off to a good start. I did watch part of that game one. They got off to a good start from the beginning. It was like 8-0 or something. And so the first quarter, they were looking strong. And then all of a sudden, it was just, the Warriors back to being the Warriors. They already took home court advantage. It looks like, they kind of just turn it on when they want to. It pretty much looks like, Golden State chooses when they want to take the day off, and then maybe they don't have to win that day. But I mean, I don't really see any way any team's going to stop the Warriors, uh, especially, of course, in the East. But I don't know. To me, it's just the regular season for the NBA has just kind of lost all meaning because you already know, and it's been said, it's true. You could have predicted this Final Four before the season started, and it happened, right? We already knew these teams were going to be good. I don't know. For me, as soon as the Heat, my Heat, and the Spurs, who I follow too, of course, in San Antonio, as soon as they were bounced out of the playoffs in the first round, like, just wake me up when, the finals are over. And not surprised to see it's going to be Golden State again. So I'm not saying I'm not going an anti-NBA rant. I'm not saying I don't watch it or I don't like it, but I don't know. To me, it's just that's the one thing we do like about the NFL is the parity, right? That year to year, you never really know. I mean, I don't know anybody I can think of that predicted Philadelphia was going to do what they did last year, right? So to me, that's what keeps it more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what the NBA has always been, or at least since as long as I've been watching it. I mean, it's like I said, it's before the season, you can pretty much predict the teams that are going to be there at the end, right? I mean, sure, injuries could change things, like if Kevin Durant, blows out his knee tonight, changes everything, right? Like suddenly Houston's got a shot, right? So, but barring that, you pretty much know going into every season because the NBA, it's talent. That's it. Talent wins in the NBA, right? So the most talented teams rise to the top eventually because there's only 5 guys on the floor. So if like Golden State, if 4 of your 5 guys are extremely talented, that's 80% of your team, right? Like you're gonna win. You're gonna win. So yeah, it's just kind of how the NBA is. I mean, it's kind of nice in the sense that at least you feel like when the NBA season ends, most of the time I feel like the best team won the title. Whereas in like hockey, and in the NFL especially, I don't always feel like that, right? Like you could have I don't think anybody thought that the year the Patriots went 18-0 and lost the Giants, that the Giants were a better team than the Patriots that year. They just played better that one night. You know what I mean? And that's not to take anything away from the Giants. The Giants were an underrated team that year. Their defense got really healthy towards the end of the season. They had a great defense. But I don't think if they played 100 times, the Giants maybe win, I don't know, 15 or 20 of those games, right? Like the Patriots overwhelming favorites. So I don't always feel like in it, but you're right. It does bring the excitement, right? That, hey, anything can happen. Like it's the NFL, and in one game, anything can happen. Whereas in the NBA, you pretty much know, like barring something crazy, where we're going to be by the end of the year and who's probably going to be lifting the trophy.
Yeah, and NBA is such an individual sport. I mean, basically, the only reason Cleveland is ever in contention is because LeBron. So it doesn't really matter who is around him. All you know is that he's there and he can carry them at, not every night, but at times he can. So with hockey, kind of the same thing. You have a hot goaltender, that neutralizes everything. So it doesn't have to be the most talented team, like you said, or the best team, or even the highest scoring team. You have a goaltender who's on fire. You can shut down the other team, and that changes everything. So a lot of times, just like I always say, in baseball, the postseason, it's not about the home run hitters, not even about the starting pitcher, your aces. It's about the bullpen. It's the guys kind of you don't really notice. It's about the strength of that unit. Same thing you could be said in football. It's the line that who wins the battle of the line, defense versus offense. That's what really makes the difference. In hockey, you have one guy who controls whether you score or you don't score. And if that guy's on his game, that changes everything. And the same thing with basketball. I mean, you do need some help, but to some extent, if a player is just unstoppable, a guy like LeBron who can make everything different for his teammates. That changes the game. Warriors happen to have 3 guys like that. So I really don't see any way they're going to get stopped. So.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and you're right about hockey. We're seeing that kind of right now with the Vegas Knights, right? Like Marc-Andre Fleury is playing amazing. And I'm taking anything away from the team. The team's playing well, but he's stealing games for them. So, Yeah, you're right about that. But yeah, the problem with the Warriors, let's say I think the Cavs are gonna beat the Celtics. I think the Celtics, they're a young team, and I think they're gonna find a way to choke, and LeBron's gonna find a way to get it done. But the problem when the Cavs face the Warriors is Durant can match LeBron. Like night for night, Durant can match LeBron. There's nobody on the Cavs that can match Steph Curry if he's playing like he did the other night. There's nobody on the Cavs that can match Klay Thompson if he's playing like he did in game one. And there's probably nobody really on the Cavs that can even match Draymond Green if he's just playing a good game. Maybe Kevin Love if Kevin Love's playing really well, but that's really it. I mean, there's way too much talent on the Warriors, and in the NBA, talent wins. Talent wins.
Absolutely, and I think that's the hidden key, really. You know, if you're a casual NBA fan, all you know is that the Warriors make a lot of 3-pointers. You know about Durant and Curry, but their defense is underrated. Draymond Green, they play good defense as a unit when they're motivated. Steve Kerr, of course, learned from Pop in San Antonio. He knows how to get them motivated. But yeah, Cleveland doesn't have any semblance of defense that can shut down a team. So you know they're going to rely on another team to get cold, and I don't think that's going to happen. You know, I have a feeling you're right. Cleveland's going to make it to the finals because Boston just doesn't have enough firepower there. You know, they're just missing too many pieces. But yeah, as much as I don't want to see another Cavs Warriors final, I think that's what it's going to be. So I don't know. I actually might sit out this NBA finals. I don't know if I'm going to watch any of it. I'd probably spend more time watching like OTAs for football or or regular season baseball.
Yeah, I'm with you. It was like back when in the Kobe Shaq days. Remember the East? I don't know if you remember, but the Eastern Conference was really bad. Like, you know, they were playing like the 76ers who just had Allen Iverson. Not to take anything from Allen Iverson, he was a great player. Or they were playing like the New Jersey Nets, right? These are teams that are playing in the finals. And I would sweat like they would be playing the Kings or the Spurs in the Western Conference finals, and I would be sweating that entire series out. Or Portland, because those were great teams. But once they won those, I would barely watch the NBA finals. Not because I am not a fan. It's just because why? Like none of those Eastern Conference teams, other than the Pacers the first year, who had Rick Smits. That was the name, right? Rick Smits.
Yeah, Rick Smits.
Like they didn't really have they didn't really have anybody that could guard Shaq. Like Shaq would just, you know, score 35 every night without even trying because he was just too dominant at that time. And then you had Kobe. So yeah, this can be the same thing this year, I feel like. I mean, if it's the Cavs, at least LeBron will give them a fighting chance. But I mean, look at what happened last year. If it wasn't for that one game where the whole Cavs team just played out of their minds and they set the record for like 3-pointers in a finals game and I don't know, free throws made or all these crazy records. That was the only way they could win a game last year. And I don't see how that's going to be any different. They're worse this year than they were last year.
That's true. And just to throw back, because you could, mention the Lakers and, being a fan there, I'll come out and admit, even though it's not very popular here in San Antonio, I was a Lakers fan growing up because Miami did not have a team. There was no Heat when I first started watching basketball. So I was a Lakers fan. And so I have always hated the Celtics, and I still do, because now they're rivals with the Heat. And they'll
I
always
knew there was
be
a reason I
rivals.
liked you.
I have the first, there was something on Twitter. I can't remember who it was, but it was a thing, one of those threads and you reply with whatever. What was the first jersey that you ever owned? Sports jersey at all. And mine was easy, Magic Johnson. That's the first jersey I ever owned.
Nice. Good man. Good man.
I bet you will not guess, even though you're a Lakers fan, I bet you will guess who the other one is that I had the next basketball jersey I owned.
Well, it's obviously not an obvious answer if you're saying that. So I'm going to go with, I want to say Kurt Rambis just to be funny, but I'm going to say
90s. I'll give you a hint. It was
90s. Nick Van Exel.
Wow, you nailed that. That is correct.
He was like the face of the Lakers in the 90s.
That's
it wasn't
true.
much of it wasn't much. He's not a face like Magic Johnson or Kobe Bryant, but he was the face. He was all we had. It was him and Cedric Ceballos.
Wow. Yes, Cedric Ceballos for a couple of years there. They had
Sedale 3, like getting 5 steals every night.
That's funny. Yeah, the good old days. I should have got really Eddie Jones because he was my favorite player. He was a Laker, and then he became a Heat, and he was from South Florida. I think it's Fort Lauderdale. So he was local, He played for both my favorite teams, so I don't know why I never got Eddie Jones jersey because he's my favorite player. But Nick Van Exel, I don't know. And I actually, when I would play ball, I would wear the socks like up to my knees. I'm not kidding.
Eddie Jones is probably their best player at that time, but he was so like quiet and like he's not like your typical NBA player who like hammers down a dunk. Like I don't know if you saw the game the other night, but Steph Curry like was standing there like this is our effing house. Like that's how NBA players are, right? That's how they usually are. He was so not like that nobody probably had his jersey.
Yeah, no, he was real low key. That's why he fitted well with the Heat, the Pat Riley team there, because it was all about defense. Like they didn't even care if you could score. He could score, but he was a defensive guy first. He would throw himself on the floor. I mean, he was, just grind and work hard kind of guy. So, yeah, I loved him. Loved Eddie Jones. But yeah, I did have the Nick Van Exel jersey, and I was like, I didn't care because it brought a little extra swag. So when I would hit a 3-pointer, I'd be like, with the jersey, I'm like,
yeah,
that's all I could do. I couldn't do anything, literally anything. I could hit 3-pointers, but that was kind of it. So
hey, you were ahead of your time. That's all you need in today's NBA.
That's that's the way to look at it. I was a visionary because that's it. Just hit a 3 and talk trash, and there you go. All right, so we got our NBA fix in there. I don't know how long it'll be. We love to do bold predictions here. We'll do a little NFL version like usual at the end, but let's do a real quick 5-second bold prediction NBA. Where does LeBron play next season?
Philadelphia.
I see that as a popular pick. I don't know. I honestly am back and forth. I know it's not going to be Cleveland. A lot of people talking LA. I don't think it's going to be LA either. I'm going to lean to Chicago. I think somehow they're going to pull it off because they're in desperate need of something. So I don't know. That's what my gut's telling me. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's Philadelphia. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if Kawhi Leonard gets traded to Philadelphia.
Well, that would. I don't know. I don't know enough about their salary cap situation to know if they can make LeBron work with Kawhi Leonard. But I think Chicago's a good bet. Here's the thing. I don't think this gets talked about enough. LeBron James is a super smart dude. He's like really smart. I don't think it's an accident that LeBron James has spent his entire career in the Eastern Conference. Like LeBron James knows that if he's in the Eastern Conference and he has a halfway decent team around him, he's almost assured of going to the NBA Finals. He might not win the NBA Finals, but he's assured of almost going. Like if he goes to the Lakers, first of all, even if they brought him and Paul George, let's say something like that, where they could instantly become a contender, right? Because he's not going to go to the Lakers, and look ahead 3 years at what they could be 3 years from now. That's not what LeBron James is doing at this point in his career. But let's say they were able to get him and Paul George to where they're an instant contender. They're still not better than the Warriors. They're probably not better than the Rockets. You know what I mean? And you're probably going to have to go through each of those teams to get to the finals. Whereas in the East, who are you going through? You're going if you go to the Sixers, boom, you just eliminated one of the up and coming teams. Now you're basically just worried about Boston, right? It's probably about it. You're just worried about Boston. Cleveland's no longer a playoff team. So I mean, he knows, if he stays in the East, the path to the NBA Finals is very, very easy for a guy, especially for a guy as good as LeBron. So I don't think there's any chance he goes to the Western Conference. So I think if you're narrowing down teams he's going to, you got to look at Eastern Conference teams. So yeah, I think Chicago's a possibility.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think the LA thing is going to happen. You're right. He's a smart guy. He knows definitely what he's doing. Everything's planned out from social media to what he says, what he doesn't say. Yeah. So I think he already knows because he definitely knows he's not going back to Cleveland. But all right, so let's get on to the football talk. But actually, guys, I have a question before we start with our theme for this week. Have you ever wished that you could be an NFL general manager? Don't we all? Well, actually, you can now thanks to Reality Sports Online, a powerful fantasy sports platform where owners get to build and manage their fantasy team just like a real NFL GM. Reality Sports Online was created by former NFL front office personnel and it has a revolutionary free agency auction room which mimics real NFL free agency. You can negotiate and sign top talent to single or multi-year contracts. It can host up to 32 teams. There are a ton of cool features like free agency, rookie draft, multi-team trades, franchise tags, contract extensions, first-round rookie options, and so much more. Test your GM skills now at realitysportsonline.com. And if you use the promo code BALLERS, you get a 10% discount right now. Fantasy just got real at realitysportsonline.com. All right. So today's theme, I haven't mentioned it yet. It's time to unveil because I already told you there's not any breaking news. I was kind of hoping like it's happened before where we're like in process of planning and we're about to record and then like something crazy happens. Like what was happening the other day where with the Odell Beckham thing, all of a sudden they were saying, oh, he's gonna get traded. And, you know, there's always something that seems to happen. Nothing happened today. I was a little disappointed. So that doesn't mean that we don't have plenty to talk about. We're gonna dig into some rumors from the NFL. Oh yeah. You remember that jam?
Oh yeah.
Timex Social Club, which I could not name a single one of their other songs. We always kick it old school here as far as the music. So what do you think about talking rumors? I know that's not very it's not very polite, but that's what we're going to do today. You okay with that, Chris? Where we talk about rumors?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I wasn't sure if you were going to drop another verse or what. So yeah, no, I'm good with that. Let's do it. Let's talk some rumors.
No, that's good enough for the people. I don't know. We could kick that again. Let's see. You know what I remember? Let's reminisce a little bit more. Do you remember this? Okay, we all know Weird Al Yankovic, right? Did the songs like Michael Jackson songs and all that. I love Weird Al, by the way. Okay, do you remember Bobby Jimmy and the Critters? Have you ever heard of them? Okay, so he was like the rap version of Weird Al, like in the 80s. And so he had a couple of songs because I had a tape. Yes, a tape. Had some of his music on it. So he did a version of Rumors. So it's the same music, but instead of Rumors, it was called Roaches. So instead of Stop Rumors from going around, it's Stop Roaches from running around.
Wow. Was it for kids?
Yeah, it was clean. It was totally clean. It was just funny. It was like Weird Al. It was exactly like that. Look at all these roaches around me every day.
Oh man,
it was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious. Well, you know, 10-year-old me thought it was hilarious. So
yeah,
I obviously I still think it's hilarious. But
yes,
he has another one, but we'll get to that later. So rumors. I'm going to talk about these rumors, and you're going to tell me if you think that there's anything to them. If you think we should worry. Some of this is sort of factual, but we're going to see if there's anything more to it. So let's start with what's happening is OTAs started up this week. Nothing big there. I mean, these are, of course, optional and voluntary, quote unquote. There's always a couple of big name no-shows. So let's talk about those, the ones that are relevant to us in the fantasy world. So let's start with Le'Veon Bell. We know the contract situation has been a little dicey for a while. He didn't show up today. They said, yeah, he'll show up eventually. What do you think? Should we read anything into this all? Do you have any level of concern? I know you said before your concern is 0.0. Is it at least like 100%? Is there any concern that he didn't show up?
0.0. He never shows up to OTAs. Even when he's under contract, he doesn't show up to OTAs. He usually doesn't show up for the first few games of the season because he's suspended anyways. He's good. Don't worry about Le'Veon Bell. Like, Le'Veon Bell could show up the night before the first game, and he's going to be fine. And the Steelers know this. He's fine. He's fine. I stand by everything I've said up to this point. I still think they're going to run him into the ground this year. They know this is the last year they're going to have Le'Veon Bell on the team. Remember a few years, whatever, 2014, when the Cowboys just ran DeMarco Murray into the ground, and then they let him walk in the offseason. They're like, okay, we're done with you. Because I think they knew that they were pretty much done with DeMarco Murray at that point. They weren't going to re-sign him. The Steelers know they can't just keep franchising Le'Veon Bell, and they're not going to pay him $15, $16 million. They're going to let somebody else do it. So I think they're just going to run him into the ground, 25 to 30 touches every week. If he breaks, he breaks. If he doesn't, awesome. They get him for a full season again, and then they're going to let him go sign some humongous contract with some team, and he's going to be a shell of himself because they're going to run him into the ground.
Interesting. So you're seeing Le'Veon Bell as the next DeMarco Murray, and you say 2019, not a Steeler.
Oh, definitely not a Steeler.
Definitely.
But 2018, Definitely a Steeler, definitely on the field. 0.0% concern.
You know what? I admire your, I was going to say stubbornness, but no, that's not the right word. I admire your steadfastness. I like that you stick to your guns. That's good. Um, no, I'm not concerned about the OTA thing. I mean, that's not a big deal. Like you said, he never shows up to those kind of things. But um, I don't feel all the way good about taking him as like my number one overall pick, let's say. I'd rather have David Johnson coming off injury because it wasn't a significant injury. It wasn't to his legs. I still would take him over Bell. And we're talking PPR redraft, typical league. So yeah, I'm fine with him as a first round pick, maybe a top 5 pick, but I wouldn't take him at number 1. That's my only thing. All right, another guy I know you're probably going to say 0.0 or at least close, but there's been a lot of speculation, especially long term. We know he'll be back for this year, but we have no idea about 2019 either. Tom Brady, which is interesting because he does always show up to things. And a few years ago, he made a big deal about other players on the team showing up, and it's really important, and you have to build chemistry and blah, blah, blah. And so he didn't show up. So now people are saying, not that he's, done, he's coming back this year, but well, maybe he's just not as into it anymore. Maybe he knows this is his last year, whatever. Do you read anything into that for Brady?
I do. This actually concerns me. And because like you said, OTAs, he's always been there. And here's the crazy thing. Apparently him and Gronk, from the reports, they've been going to the TB12 thing with that trainer, which is right by the stadium, right by where they're having OTAs, like right next door. Like, so it's not like he's in another, he's like in California with his trainer right now, and the team's in in Boston or wherever they play, wherever New England plays, because that's 6 states. I don't know how to get to that name, but whatever. Like, he's right there. He's right there. Like, he could go to his trainer and then just walk to the OTAs. You know what I mean? So he's actively choosing not to go to OTAs. And I do think this is a concern because, like you said, this has always been a big deal for him. And I'm not 100% convinced on this, so I didn't do it, but I almost put my bold prediction, which we'll get to later, that Brady will retire before the season starts. I almost put that as my bold prediction.
Wow, that would be a bombshell. That would definitely. Okay, but you're not quite going that far, right?
No, but I do still. I think I said a couple pods ago. I don't remember that. I do think this is Brady's last year, and this just reaffirms that to me.
And I can see that. I totally can see. I think he's just going to drop it one day. He'll just be like, "I'm done. Like, I'm out." Like, it's not gonna. He's definitely not a guy who's going to go on like a Kobe farewell tour, and he's not going to announce it ahead of time. He's just going to like, "I'm done." And I could see it being after this year because I mean, what else does he have to prove? I mean, really, he's one of those guys who will play. He's kind of like Tim Duncan. Like, he already has multiple championships. He has nothing else to prove, but he loves the game. So he'll keep playing it as long as it's fun for him and he's able. The minute where it starts being too much of a hassle, like I don't really show up to practice and the preseason, all that stuff. Like, I just want to show up to the game and like try to win another championship. But when you start missing those practices and those extra things that you kind of have to do, but you really don't want to do, yeah, that's when it's kind of a sign that
you mean like OTAs.
Maybe like OTAs, exactly.
Like, maybe it's not so fun anymore. Maybe going to OTAs and putting in that work just isn't as important as it used to be. And exactly. I can see them. And I know there's been, we've seen a lot of reports lately that everything's not happy in New England land, which is okay. It doesn't have to be. Going back to our basketball, Kobe and Shaq and that whole Lakers team basically hated each other, and they won 3 straight titles. So it doesn't have to be happy. But like you said, if he's not enjoying it anymore, he's 42 now or whatever he is. He's got 5 rings, right? 5? Did I get that right? 6 rings, whatever he's got, some crazy amount, like more than my favorite team even has in their whole history. He could just walk away, no problem, right? No problem. He's got money. He's got a beautiful wife, a beautiful family. He's set. So I almost made that my bold prediction, but I think he does play one more year and then he's done.
Agree. So can't knock him, missing whatever in practice preseason might actually be a good thing for his body. So, that doesn't affect the value for this year. But yeah, you might not want to hold on too long in Dynasty. But you probably should know that already. And then one more name I want to get to, say the best for last year, Julio Jones. Now this one, there's got to be something to it. a little bit of smoke here, so there might be fire pretty soon because, of course, there was that whole thing on social media where all of a sudden he went dark and it was just nothing Falcons, and now he's not showing up. We know he wants more money. Okay, fine. But do you think it could get maybe a little contentious? Do you think maybe he misses more time than he needs to? Do you think this might affect him mentally, especially if he doesn't get the deal that he really wants?
Maybe. I think to me this is kind of a good thing because there was a lot of chatter last year from experts, who were thinking that Julio Jones is going to retire after the season. So 2000 season is going to be his last year. There's a lot of like big time Twitter people saying that, and so the fact that he wants to work out a new contract is a good sign. That shows that he wants to keep playing, right? So that's good. As somebody who owns Julio Jones and Dynasty, that's a good thing. I don't think he's going to miss any games. Even if he doesn't have a contract, I don't think he'll miss any games. Maybe he'll miss part of training camp and part of preseason. But again, these veteran guys like Julio Jones, they don't need to show up. They're going to be running. It's the same offense they ran last year with Sarkisian. It's not like they have a new coordinator and a new offense he's got to learn. He's Matt Ryan. He's got the same quarterback that he's played with forever. Like, he could step in. He could, just like Le'Veon Bell, he could show up the night before the game, say, "Hey guys, I'm ready to play," and he'll be just fine. Now long term, maybe. I mean, I think if anything, it would perhaps motivate him, like to, if he's like wants the deal and he goes into the season without a deal, show the team that you deserve the deal, right? Go out there and just dominate and be like, "Look, you need to pay me." But really, the thing I never understand about these situations from the team and the owner's perspective is just pay the dude. You guys are freaking bazillionaires. Like, pay the guy his 18 million or whatever he wants, and don't have all this drama on your team. Just pay the guy. Like, what is the big deal? Like, this isn't like, I don't know, Calvin Ridley, who's never played an NFL snap, saying, make me the highest paid receiver in the NFL. Like, this is a superstar, one of the top 3 receivers in the game in an extremely important position, a wide receiver. Just pay the guy. Just pay him. What's the big deal? Pay him.
It sounds simple. And one guy I didn't mention because it's not really relevant in the fantasy world, but Aaron Donald, also no show, and maybe the best defensive player in the league. And yeah, just like, why? What are you waiting for him to get better? He's not going to get better. You're not going to find someone better to replace him. You need him. So yeah, he should just get whatever he wants. Just get like the dump truck with cash, like fold gold coins, whatever. Just put it in his front lawn. Let him swim in it. Like
exactly. What are these guys so stingy for? Like, maybe is that why? Like, that's how they have all this money. They're like those. There's like Scrooge McDuck. They don't want to spend a dime of their money, so they're like, "Oh," but you can't be like that if you're buying a sports team, right? Because you're spending $1 bazillion on a sports team. Like, at least I'll say one. I hate the Cowboys and I dislike Jerry Jones, but Jerry Jones will give a guy money, right? Jerry Jones will look at a guy that other teams are like, "Ooh, I don't know. Here's $1 bazillion. Come play for me." Like, he doesn't, except for Des Bryant apparently, who he probably really wishes he had right now. but like, just pay these. Yeah, like Aaron Donald, like, just pay him. He plays one of, if not the most important position on defense, one of the most important positions on defense. He disrupts the passing game. That's what you need on defense, right? You're trying to stop the pass on defense. Like, you look at the teams, the best defenses shut down the passing game. He disrupts the passing game. He's a terror on quarterbacks. Pay the guy his money.
Absolutely. That defense could be sick this year, but yeah, if for some reason they decide that, I don't know why, but to force his hand and make him sit out longer, and it could get ugly. But I don't know. I like to think they'll come to their senses since they're supposed to actually be a contender. There's no reason on principle to not give him whatever he wants. But yeah, the Jerry Jones thing, I definitely hate Jerry Jones too. But yeah, he will pay. He'll basically do anything to win. Like, he doesn't care. Money is not an object to him, and also morals and like standards. He doesn't care about that either. So that's kind of nice. So let's talk more rumors here. OTAs, probably not too big a deal except for some guys. But let's talk about one of the other diva receivers. Not talking about Des Bryant, but Odell Beckham. We've discussed. I already mentioned him. talked about all that drama a few weeks ago. He did show up. So does that mean anything to you? Does that mean all that stuff was for nothing? Is there a long-term deal coming? Do you think also that he's still being underdrafted at his current ADP?
Oh, he's absolutely being underdrafted, and he's being undervalued in the dynasty community because everybody was freaking out about this nonsense that we both said was nonsense however many weeks ago. Um, and here he is in OTAs, like happy camper. He doesn't have to be there, and he doesn't have he doesn't have the contract he wants. He doesn't have to be there, but there he is in OTAs. So obviously he has every intention of playing this year. He's not, he's not trying to hold the Giants hostage by saying I'm just not going to play. He's there. He's with the team. He's getting reps when he doesn't even have to be. So yeah, he's going to play the whole season, and he's way going underdrafted. I mean, I got him at the end of the first round. I had the number 12 pick in one of my best ball drafts, and he was sitting there. Like, how do you draft Kareem Hunt over Odell Beckham? How do you draft Leonard Fournette over Odell Beckham? How do you draft Melvin Gordon over Odell Beckham? How do you do that? I don't understand. I don't understand. So yeah, he's a huge value. It's hard to get values in the first round of a draft, but he's one of them right now.
And am I remembering right? Because I have several things at once, but the mock that we're doing, our PPR redraft mock, you got him in the first round, didn't you?
Yeah, I got him at 7 or 8. I forget.
Because I know you pick right after me. We're still in the process. Yeah,
eight.
we're gonna talk about that.
7, right?
I did. I took Hopkins. So I have to admit, I don't have Odell Beckham as my number 1 receiver in pretty much any format. We talked best ball rankings last week. I have Hopkins number 1. I have him number 1 pretty much in any format just because I'm that high on Hopkins. Nothing to do with discounting Beckham, because right after Hopkins, I have Beckham for any position. So like you said, I would take Odell Beckham over Kareem Hunt, Leonard Fournette, any of those running backs you mentioned. Push comes to shove, I might take him over Le'Veon Bell just because of that. I think he's a safer pick. But anyways, yeah, I think it's ridiculous that he's dropped out of the top 5, I would say, even overall. But so good to see that he's reporting and that everything is happy and wonderful again in New York. So everything is not happy and wonderful for one of my guys from the U, and that is Duke Johnson, one of our favorites here at the Bomb. We talked about Duke Johnson and how he's been underused, and he apparently agrees. So we'll kind of do a deal or no deal here. So guys, if you haven't seen this, and see if I can pull up his page here for our YouTube audience. Duke Johnson is a pretty quiet guy. He's actually known to be a pretty charitable guy. He's not a loud talker. He's not a trash talker. He's never given trouble, as far as demands, holding out. So pretty under the radar guy. And he kind of caused a stir the other day by randomly tweeting mysterious objects. So let me pull that up for you guys. So his avatar, it's not a picture of Duke Johnson. It is a picture of a question mark. So here we go. His avatar is this. It's a question mark, a black background with a white question mark, and his background here is nothing. It's nothing. And he decided to tweet, and it has the word patience, noun. It has the pronunciation here. The capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset. And then he tweeted disrespect. And you guys know what that word means. And then some, of course, trolls immediately replied. And then he said, PSA, you will never be able to tell my mood through social media. Blah, blah, blah. What the hell is going on here, Chris? Why is he all of a sudden trolling the community, or what is he trying to accomplish here, and what do you think this means? Because this did come out like the day after the NFL draft, right? When they took Chubb. You can understand why he might be upset. This happened May 20th, which is 2 days ago from when we're recording this. Why?
I'm not going to pretend to know why. I mean, only Duke Johnson knows that, but I don't think it's anything. I mean, for all we know, it could be something in his personal life. Who knows? But I don't think why would the Brown like the kind of the theory is, oh, the Browns are trading Duke Johnson. First of all, if you've ever seen a trade go down, most of the time the athletes find out about it through social media, right? Like that's how they find out they've been traded. Like they wake up, they go on to Twitter, their name is trending all over Twitter, and they're like, what the heck? And then they realize they've been traded, right? Like most of these guys aren't told ahead of time, like, hey, just to let you know we're trading you. We just haven't worked out a deal yet, right? Because you don't want to go to a guy and say, we're trying to trade you. And then if you're not able to make a trade, have to tell them like, just kidding, we still want you. Like, no, that's not the message you want to be sending your players, right? So I don't think this is really anything. I mean, it's something, but it's probably just something in his personal life, or I don't know. Maybe it's a shot at Hugh Jackson, because if I had to play for Hugh Jackson, I'd probably feel disrespected too. But other than that, I don't think it's anything. I think Duke Johnson is going to be there at the start of the season, and he's going to have his regular passing down kind of role, and Chubb and Hyde are going to kind of vie for those early down snaps.
Yeah, I think obviously we could read to the fact that he's not happy about something, but we don't know what it is. We can assume. But the thing is, here's like I mentioned the timing. If he had done this like the days or at least the week after the draft, it would make total sense. You could connect the dots pretty easily, right? He's upset that they drafted a running back. So it's kind of random timing. He did this right before all the OTAs started, and we don't know of anything that's gone on. Now, maybe there was a conversation that was had. It's possible right before they start all these workouts and all these things, these organized activities. Maybe it's possible that he was told, like, hey, you're not automatically going to assume, this workload, or we're going to give every guy a chance to compete for the job, or, we really like Nick Chubb as a pass catcher, which he probably didn't say, but I'm just saying, we don't know. Something might have been said. So that it's just curious more than anything. It doesn't mean necessarily that they're going to trade him, but I don't know. It's possible. Like I said, where there's smoke, there could be fire. If he really, really is unhappy, and maybe if they're unhappy with the fact that he did this, and they said, you know what, we don't need you. We got Chubb, we got Hyde, and we brought these guys over for a reason. So I don't know. I would just say keep an eye on it, but I think if anything, it might help his stock, because if he goes to a team that needs a running back, like Indy could still use a running back. It actually might help his value, because then he also is not a Brown anymore.
Exactly. So it could be a good thing for him, but I think he's going to be there day one.
Yeah, we have to assume, unless we hear more to the story or see otherwise. Yeah, I'm not going to assume he's being traded. Another guy that might, I don't know, if he does play, might switch teams. It was rumored, and it's definitely unsubstantiated, Richie Incognito, not my favorite guy as a Dolphin fan. He all of a sudden decided, yeah, I'm done. I'm going to retire. Even though he's playing really well, was head of one of the best offensive lines in Buffalo the last couple of years, playing at a Pro Bowl level. And then he's like, no, I'm done. And now the rumor is that he might unretire, because Buffalo, they took him off the reserve retire list, from what I understand. And so he actually could be free to sign with any team. And then that was kind of taken back. Says, no, he still says he's retired. But what if this was just a ruse so that he could get out of Buffalo, because he sees what's going on there, and it's not good. What do you think about that, Chris? You think that he's got this master scheme going on to get out of Buffalo, or you think he's going to stay retired?
I don't know if I'm going to give him enough credit to say that he masterminded this thing, but perhaps an opportunity presented itself that he didn't foresee, right? I mean, he probably looked at that Bills roster, said, wow, this is awful, said, this is not how I want to end my career, right? So I'm done. I've done, I think he's 35 years old. It's not like he had, he's had a long career. He's had a great career. He's had some controversies, of course. But he's had a good career. He's been a very productive offensive lineman, a very good offensive lineman. And perhaps the Bills taking him off the retired reserve list opened up an opportunity he did not expect to have, right? He's going into this year saying it's Bills or nothing, and he chose nothing. But now he has all these opportunities. So I could definitely see him coming out. And, a team he should go to, and that I'd really be happy if he went to, is the Bengals. not only because they would help the offensive line, because he would join a long group of thugs that are already on that team, and it'd be the perfect fit. He'd be the perfect fit for that team, right? He would just be out there like spitting in guys' faces, throwing out racial slurs, allegedly, you know. So, he could be out there with all the other, Perfect and all the other thugs out on that team. So, and there's a lot of Cincinnati players I like. They're not all thugs, but there are some. But they need the offensive line help badly, and it would really do a lot for that whole offense. Andy Dalton, AJ Green, Joe Mixon, even Tyler Eifert, if he's healthy, if he can stay healthy, it would really be a big boost for that offense. So that's the spot I'd love to see him go to.
Absolutely. That would definitely be a boost for Mixon. That offensive line needs a lot of help. Um, so we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised because he, like you said, he's not that old and he's still playing at a high level. So it seemed kind of sudden. And I have to think it has more to do with physical issues and whatever he claimed. Oh, my body can't take. That's BS. That's all he's ever done. He doesn't know. He's not a guy who's suffered concussions. He's not a guy who's had massive injuries. His problems are other than physical. He's got other issues. So, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to give him too much credit. I don't know that he's masterminded anything at all. But like you said, he could say, "Oh, well, you know what? Maybe I'll go to a team that isn't horrible or has a chance to be a contender at least." So, so speaking of bad teams in the AFC East, the Jets. The Jets are rolling right now at the beginning of their activities with Josh McCown as their starting quarterback with the first unit, just because they have to. Darnold, of course, is going to be the number 3 guy, and he's going to be brought in slowly until they throw him into the fire like week 6 or whatever. But here's the interesting thing. Some people are saying Teddy Bridgewater, even though he's starting as the QB2, they're actually kind of hoping he takes over that job, and they're going to give him every chance to, quote unquote, win the job in the preseason because they really would prefer that. So what do you think? Bridgewater, Teddy B, ready to be a starting quarterback, and does that actually change anything in New York, being that it's still the Jets? You see him possibly as a starter in week 1?
I think it's possible. I mean, they paid Josh McCown basically nothing. They brought Bridgewater in on kind of like a prove that you're healthy, kind of easy. He'd be easy to cut. If he wasn't healthy, if they didn't think he could do it, and they drafted Sam Darnold, so they really don't have any pressing need. Like it's not like, okay, this is our guy. Like they could have a full on quarterback competition, may the best man win, and just go with who they think gives them the best chance right away. And I do think it would be beneficial for them not to put Darnold in right away. Not that I don't think Darnold can't be a good NFL quarterback, but he's surrounded by very little talent. I mean, I know people are going to say, "Oh, but Robbie Anderson." Okay, you got Robbie Anderson, who's good. I mean, he's fine, but he's not like a elite level wide receiver. And then who else? Quincy Enunwa, Jermaine Kearse. Do they even have a tight end right now? I'm not sure. You got this running back, like 10-headed running back monster behind him. Like he's not like this is not a great situation for a rookie quarterback. So I could mean all Bridgewater probably has to do is beat out Josh McCown, which if he's healthy, he definitely has a possibility of doing.
Yeah, I mean, thought of pretty highly coming out of college, had a great career. That injury basically is what took him out of a starting role for a decent team in Minnesota. He's not an elite quarterback by any means. He doesn't have the arm strength. He's not the best quarterback you're going to find out there, but definitely capable of being an NFL starter, and especially in a situation like that where all you have to beat is McCown. I could see it happening. I don't know if they necessarily want him to be the starter. I think they prefer that Darnold is ready sooner than later, but I don't think that's going to happen either. So I could see where they could start with McCown, maybe week 1, week 2, kind of pass the torch to Teddy B, and then have McCown as a veteran backup, and then towards the end of the year, pass it again. And then they'll probably get rid of all of them except for Darnold. So it's just going to be a mess no matter what. I would stay far away. I see Robbie Anderson being kind of up there in some sites ranked as like a wide receiver 2. I don't think so. I don't think even if McCown is his quarterback like last year, I don't know. I just way too much risk for me. I wouldn't trust him. All right, so we've covered quite a few rumors and news. I would say there's some actual facts in there. Um, so we like to do bold predictions towards the later part of our show. To keep up with our theme, we're going to kind of start our own rumors. So we're going to say these like they're going to happen because I heard from Guy who knows a guy who knows Roger Goodell that this is based on solid possible fact. So let me tell you something that I think is happening here. Darren Sproles was supposed to retire, and he came back now because of that injury. So he's got a spot. Jay Ajayi's got a spot. We forget Corey Clement was an undrafted free agent last year, and he played kind of a big role, but that's only because he had to. And you know what? I have a feeling, and don't tell anybody I said this, but I don't think Corey Clement makes the Eagles' final roster this season. You think that's possible?
Possible, yes. Very bold. That was very bold. I was surprised to see that. Because Clement's kind of a guy I've been targeting late in my best ball drafts. As one of those guys who, if Ajayi goes down, I love Sproles. I was shocked Sproles came back. I hope Sproles is healthy and can have a role that he used to have, but I don't know, man. What is he, like 38 years old, coming off an ACL injury? I mean, there's not a good track record. Jamal Charles, Adrian Peterson, if you just want to look very recently, of guys at an older age coming off ACL surgery. It's typically not a good thing. So I don't know. That's definitely bold. I hope not, because I like Clement. I thought he played well. I mean, he played great in the Super Bowl. So,
well, let me tell you too. Now, this isn't just based on Sproles alone. You have to remember last year, Donnell Pumphrey, who I thought would make a big impact, and of course, he missed the whole season. He's there. They're going to keep him around for the return game. They might decide to go just pure speed, have Sproles and Pumphrey, these two undersized guys. They brought in Josh Adams as an undrafted free agent. He could be this year's Corey Clement. They might like him better. And they also, for God knows what reason, signed Matt Jones to a deal and to have him compete. Not guaranteed he's going to make the roster, but I've got to think they brought in all these running backs, including the guys that are getting back from injury. That's got to say that they want to see if they can upgrade. So to me, I have a feeling that, yeah, they used Clement for what he was good for last year because they had to, because everyone else was hurt. So I don't know. I just think things could shake out wrong for him. But I don't know. You didn't hear that from me. So, Chris, what are you hearing on the street?
well, I'm hearing that Sean Payton, who loves him some veteran running backs,
True.
is going to sign DeMarco Murray to a 1-year, $1 million deal. Not only is the stopgap for the 4 games that Mark Ingram is going to miss due to a suspension, but because Murray, I mean, he brought in Adrian Peterson last year. Let's not forget, after they had already drafted Kamara, after they, with Ingram on the roster, Sean Payton he doesn't view like workhorse running backs. He'll throw. I mean, he's bringing in CJ Spiller every year. He'll bring these guys in. They're going to need somebody those first 4 games, and I think Murray, if they do this and they do offer this deal to Murray, he's going to look at that situation and say, okay, for the first 4 games, I'm kind of locked into an early down role, and if I can do something with those 4 games, maybe I can hold on to that role even when Ingram comes back. And he's on it. You're playing with Drew Brees. You're playing in a great offense. A team that almost made it to the NFC Championship game, was really a crazy missed tackle away from going to the NFC Championship game. So there's hope there. And I think Murray might still have a little bit left. I mean, he dealt with a hamstring issue all last year, and hamstrings, that's like probably the most like debilitating athletic injury that you can play through. Obviously a torn knee is worse than a hamstring, but a hamstring strain, something that you can play with, but it really affects your athleticism, your speed, your burst. And we saw that with Murray. So if he's healthy, I think Sean Payton can look at him and say, hey, this guy can help us. This guy can really help us.
Yeah, he could be what they were hoping and thought Adrian Peterson would be last year. And now they might actually need that because Ingram's going to be out at least for the first 4 games. I don't like that from the standpoint that I just traded for Alvin Kamara in Dynasty, and so I know they weren't ever going to give Kamara the ball like 40 times a game. So um, I don't know. Supposedly they're happy. I'm actually kind of holding out hope for Jonathan Williams, at least in dynasty leagues, because remember he was a guy who was all hyped up before last year. We thought, oh, he's the backup in Buffalo. You see what Gillisley did, and he's got all this potential. He's stuck, and then they cut him. Like what? So out went that. It was good for him that he got out of Buffalo and he's in a much better situation. But I don't know. He's a guy I kind of want to watch and see if he does anything given the chance beginning of the season. But of course, they signed a veteran like Murray, then there goes his chance again. So speaking of veterans, let me tell you what I heard. Des Bryant, right? He's not with the Cowboys like we talked about. Well, he could have signed with Baltimore. He didn't want to sign with Baltimore. Chris, I don't know if you're going to like this. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. As a Redskin fan, I'm going to tell you, I think he's going to sign with Washington, and he's been planning this the whole time. And he knew he was going to sign with Washington the moment that Jerry Jones let him go. So would that be a good thing for you?
Yes, bring him in. I mean, look at Washington's receiving core. You got Josh Doxson. Maybe he's okay. You got Jamison Crowder. He's all right. He's a good slot guy. You got, I don't even know who else is on the outside right now. Paul Richardson. They brought in Paul Richardson.
Brian Quick.
Do they have Brian Quick? Did I miss that?
I think they still have him, unless they did something. Yeah, I think he's still on a one-year deal.
Well, my point being is Dez is at least as good as any of those guys at this point in his career. Okay. And you know what he can still do? He can still get up in the air and catch touchdowns. And, if Alex Smith can dink and dunk his way down the field and get him inside the 10, that could be Dez time right there. So, yeah, as a Redskins fan, I would love this. I mean, don't throw him elite wide receiver money, which Dan Snyder might do because that's what he does. But yeah, if they get him on a nice, good, a good deal, I'd be all for it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't complain. You can't treat him like an elite receiver anymore because he isn't. But like you said, why would you complain if he's on your team? I mean, it's not going to hurt, especially they don't have the deepest wide receiver core. They didn't really draft any receivers early. They got somebody, I think, at the 7th round. They got Trey Quinn or somebody, and then they got Simi Cobbs like as a undrafted free agent. They didn't spend. Paul Richardson is not the sexiest name there, receiver. Maybe they're hoping he'll be kind of that bigger bodied guy in the red zone, but yeah, he's no Des Bryant. So if they can pull that off, that's definitely a good thing.
Yeah, I'd be very happy.
So we got time for one more. Chris, hit me up. What do you got?
Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, Hugh Jackson, who we all know is a man of his word, despite not jumping in the lake when he said he would, said that Tyrod Taylor will be the day one starter. He's going to be the day one starter. I know it's May, but Tyrod Taylor has already won that job. But I have heard that this is not true. This is not true. Baker Mayfield is going to wow in camp, and he is going to be the day one starter in Cleveland.
Wow, day one, huh?
Day one starter.
It would make sense considering where they took him. Why wait? If he shows up pretty good and, as far as training camp and he puts up some decent preseason stats, I mean, what do they have to lose? Literally, we've said this before. What else could you lose at this point? You can't do worse than last year. So, yeah, why not? But then again, they say, well, why did they bring Tyrod Taylor in? Well, you need a good backup quarterback too, don't you? What if Mayfield gets hurt? What if he flops miserably? So I could see that. Now, here's the question then. Does that make you nervous? Let's say they announce Baker Mayfield as a starting quarterback before the season starts and you're drafting and you know this like a week or two before the regular season. Does that make you nervous about, Josh Gordon, Jarvis Landry, and the rest of the crew?
No, I don't think so. It would make me more nervous about Josh Gordon and Corey Clement, assuming he's still there. than it would about Landry or Duke Johnson of those, because Tyrod Taylor, one thing he does do really well, and we saw it when Sammy Watkins was healthy, is he throws a good deep ball. So guys like Gordon and Corey Clement, they're going to benefit from that if Tyrod Taylor's a starter.
Or Coleman.
Or Corey Coleman. Corey Clement's going to be cut. I forgot.
Yeah.
By
Well,
the
you know,
Eagles.
he could be a Brown because when they trade Duke Johnson, see, it's come full circle. They're going to trade Duke Johnson. They're going to cut, the Eagles are going to cut Clement, and then he lands with the Browns. So there you go.
Wow. So, but Mayfield is Mayfield is very accurate. So Landry, Duke Johnson, Njoku, those guys I think will really benefit from him. And I mean, even it's not going to, maybe it'll limit the ceiling of guys like Coleman and Josh Gordon, but it's still good for them. I think, unlike what we were talking about with Sam Darnold in New York, this is a great situation. Like if you're going to start a rookie quarterback day one, this is the situation. You have a good offensive line. You have talent all around them. A defense that looks like it should be good as well. I mean, this is about as good as it gets for a rookie quarterback to go into. Like he's not going to, he shouldn't be under much pressure. He's got a great possession receiver in Landry. He's got a great running back, pass catching running back in Duke Johnson. So, you know, there's things there that could help protect him if he's not quite ready day one. Like if he's just, you know, if he's good but not quite where he needs to be, there's ways to protect him in this offense. So yeah, if you're gonna do it, this is a situation to do it.
Right.
And like you said, if they win 4 or 5 games this year, that's a success, right? They're gonna be like, hey, we finally have a quarterback, right? We got a quarterback. Like
that's progress. Nowhere to go but up, baby.
So it's not like he's going to be under immense pressure.
Yeah, I mean, literally, he could win one game and it'll be declared a success. Like you did something that we haven't seen in years. So there you go, rookie quarterback winning game from Cleveland. Okay. So, and you know what? I'm going to flip mine around. I'm going to combine because it now suddenly makes perfect sense. So I'm going to make my bold prediction that Corey Clement is going to be
6 degrees of Corey Clement.
Yes, he's going to be a Brown before the season starts. Boom, there you go.
And is Duke Johnson going to be an Eagle?
No, that's too crazy. That's too crazy. He's going to, you know what? I could see him also. Don't sleep on Tampa. What if they decide they need a nice little backup there? They don't trust Ronald Jones and, you know, the workhorse role. So I don't know. Anyways, we've had enough rumors and predictions and craziness for today. Talking about rookies, though, since we brought up Mayfield, I want to touch real quickly upon this. So I dragged Chris into another mock draft because I know how much he loves to draft, especially when it doesn't count for anything. So mock drafts, we did a rookie mock draft, and I just want to throw this out there because we gathered not just ourselves, a couple of Rotoballer writers, but we also got some guys from the industry, from FFD 260, great Dynasty website. John Lobb, the Gridiron Scholar, a guy we've had here a few weeks ago before the NFL draft. He knows his prospects and his rookies like nobody else. And he also represents Football Diehards. We had some guys from Player Profiler, which is probably the best resource you could use if you're looking up info, you know, as far as performance for rookies, those combine scores, all the metrics. So anyways, we gathered some guys for a rookie mock, quick 5-round Dynasty rookie mock draft. And so you're going to see an article coming out tomorrow, if you're listening to this later. It came out yesterday or the day before. But anyways, it's coming out on Rotoballer, and it's going to have a recap. And it got some thoughts and insights from the participants themselves. So, Chris, we're not going to go over all the results here. They can see it for themselves on rotoballer.com. But predictably, Saquon Barkley was number 1. Your man in Washington, Darius Geis, was number 2. John Lobb took Royce Freeman, number 3. That was a little surprising to me.
He loves Freeman, though. He loves Freeman.
He talked about that quite a bit, right, when he was with us. But still, are you surprised he took Freeman ahead of Penny or any of the other guys?
Yeah, I was very excited to get Penny at 4.
Absolutely. I mean, that would seem like the no-brainer because of, you know, the situation. But I've seen
Penny. You know, there's a lot of talk that Penny could be the number 2 behind Barkley over Geis. So I was very happy to get him at 4.
Yeah. So you got some people declared yours the best value of the first round, if there's such a thing as value in the first round. So you took Freeman at 3. You took Penny at 4. Ronald Jones was number 5. First receiver didn't go till number 6. So let me get your answer to this question I posed. You see that the first 5, 6 of the first 7, and 7 of the first 9 picks in the first round were all running backs, and this is dynasty. That was crazy a year ago, right? You don't take running backs early. Yeah, that's all I kept hearing, right? You take receivers. Now it's flipped. You think that's going to kind of become a trend? Do you think that people now are kind of coming to their senses, or do you think that's because of the talent pool for this particular draft?
Yeah, we've had a few really strong running back drafts in the NFL, and that's where we're seeing this. We're seeing a lot of rookie running backs coming in and just having an immediate impact. But we've had a very strong rookie classes. I mean, you're talking about like Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette, Alvin Kamara, Kareem Hunt. I mean, really strong running back classes. So I think that's what we're seeing here. And this was a pretty weak wide receiver class. And then the ones like DJ Moore, he didn't land in a good spot, in my opinion. Calvin Ridley, I think that's potential down the road, but he's not gonna just jump into an immediate, role there. So I think it was a combination of that. It's a really strong running back class, a weaker wide receiver class, and then the top wide receivers didn't really end up in spots that are going to pay off immediately.
No, I agree. Guys like Ridley and Sutton and Traquan Smith, those are long-term plays. Probably not going to do much as a rookie, maybe not even in their second year. So of course in Dynasty you can hold, and that's fine. But not going to pay immediate dividends. So if you're a win now kind of player like we are, you probably want that running back. So the first person to take a wide receiver at DJ Moore was actually me. I took him because at that point the top 5 backs were gone. I'm a little shakier on the Georgia backs, Michelle and Chubb. I know I like Michelle, but to me, being in the New England backfield, who knows what could happen. So I felt safer with Moore there, and also not that I always take the safe guy. I don't make it sound that way. I like Moore. I think he's a good playmaker. The reason he was the first receiver taken. I think the landing spot's not going to be as bad as people think. They brought him in for a reason. They want him to become that number 1 receiver that they're kind of lacking. So then we had Michelle, Ridley, Chubb was number 9, and so he was kind of declared, aside from Penny, kind of the top value of the first round. You think that number 9 was way too low for him, or you still think that's about right?
Yeah, I think you probably should have taken him at 6, to be honest. I think, but again, I mean, this is a mock, so nobody has a team. Like you don't have like team needs.
Right.
I do think Chubb isn't going to pay off huge year 1, but I think year 2 and beyond, he has a real chance to pay off. So I think I probably would have taken, like I said, DJ Moore was really the only wide receiver I was super excited about coming into this draft. Not to say that I didn't, like some other wide receivers, but he was the only one that really had like high end value to me, and he didn't land in a great spot. So I think I would have taken Chubb over DJ Moore, but it's fine. I mean, it's not like the worst.
Well, that's good.
I definitely would have taken Chubb over Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, definitely. I was surprised he lost. Yeah, I can see Michelle over Chubb, but yeah, Ridley. Unless you're a guy like you said, you just like that receiver in the first round. But yeah, Chubb did fall farther than most people expected. And then second round, I was able to get my guy, who is not a Dolphin, but I can have him on my team, Josh Rosen. I think he's still going to be the best quarterback from this draft class. You took then James Washington. I know we talked about him a couple weeks ago. Coming back around, then you took Antonio Callaway, Kiki Coty, and my guy. Can't believe you took. What is it? Somebody told me on Twitter today. His in the streets they call him EQ. Equanimous St. Brown, ESB or EQ? I like EQ. Which of those receivers did you like at the spot that you got as far as value the best? You got Washington in the second, Callaway in the third, Coty in the fourth, St. Brown, EQ in the fifth.
I like probably have to say QT in the fifth. Is that how you pronounce the name? Coty in the fifth.
Go with Coty. Coty doesn't sound too good.
I know it wasn't the best landing spot for him because you got DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller there, but I think he's got a lot of talent. he's getting paired up with Deshaun Watson, which is pretty nice. And I do like the kind of the dart throw, I'll call it, on EQ in the fifth. Um, there's a lot of guys that are gonna somebody's gonna have to win that number 3 job, and he's got just as much of a chance as anybody else. And if he could win, you have a starting receiver job in Green Bay. That's value, right? You're gonna have some value. So I like that as like a 5th round dart throw. I do not like the Callaway pick. Not anything against Callaway, but looking at the board, I would have preferred Jordan. I think I should have taken Jordan Wilkins there, running back for Indy. I think he's got a real chance of carving a role this year, and maybe even beyond. And if Andrew Luck actually does come back this year, like I think he will, he could have some real dynasty value going forward. So I think that was the one pick where I'm kind of like, I should have taken Jordan Wilkins there.
Fair enough, and it's all right. It's okay to second guess your draft sometimes. I wasn't crazy about my 4th round pick, but at that point, there's anybody else who I liked. Kind of my fallback, who I call him running back, is Akram Wadley. He doesn't have a clear path to playing time at all, but he's talented, he's quick, and you never know. So that's more of a dice roll. And of course, the 5th round, I took my man. I'm glad nobody had him before, but Braxton Berrios. So representing, I'm telling you, look out for him.
Well, everybody's excited about him, and then when Brady retires, they're gonna be like, "Oh, never mind."
yeah.
By the way, how do you feel about your round 3 pick, Dallas Goedert?
I like it. Gesicki, of course, being with the Dolphins, he's got better chance to produce this year, but I still think Goddard's the most talented tight end there. He could coexist.
Philly.
He could coexist with Ertz, and then again, year or two, you never know what happens.
Well, Ertz is signed through 2021,
and then there's room for two.
Well, we haven't seen it. And then you got to think they're going to re-sign Ertz. I mean, he's still going to be relatively young when his contract is up. So
I just think you can't overstate, the importance of landing spot too much, because how often do players stay with the same team forever? So I just think in Dynasty, I don't want to look too hard at the landing spot, because, things change quickly. Guy get injured. If Ertz, breaks his ankle, all of a sudden Goddard's going to get a ton of targets. Just think about what happened with Evan Ingram. Nobody thought that, Odell Beckham was going to be out for the season. Brandon Marshall was going to be out for the season. Things happen. So I just think you look at talent first and then situation later. But that was my thinking.
All right. It's fair.
All right. So this has been another episode of the Fantasy Bomb. Check out that rookie mock, the recap, and all the thoughts from not just me, but some of our experts there who participated on rotoballer.com. You can look at the draft board, beautiful draft board on RT Sports. We're going to have all sorts of rankings analysis coming out. We talked about our best ball rankings. Guys, look for that, not just the rankings themselves, but we're going to break down and explain everything that went into our thinking there. So check that out. And of course, we're pumping out Dynasty content, redraft content, sleepers, all sorts of NFL preseason action every single day. Not a day goes by where we don't have new content out. And of course, every week we are here dropping knowledge on the Fantasy Bomb. So check us out. All right. Thanks for listening. This has been the Rumors edition of the Fantasy Bomb.